Today's video is sponsored by NZXT. Okay, I have a bit of a confession to make. Despite the fact that I have definitely had my share of time playing games on PC along with console, I have never actually built my own PC from scratch before. I've only ever used either pre-builds or hand-me-downs, and I have done some part swapping before, like I've replaced a GPU, I have replaced a motherboard once with a friend, but I've never actually, from scratch, put a PC together. And today, that is changing with the NZXT BLD kit. So what exactly this is NZXT had this program before, which was BLD, which was buying their pre-built PCs, but with BLD kit, instead of getting the PC pre-built for you, you save a little money and they just send all the parts individually as part of this kit right here, along with all the necessary stuff you need in order to do it. The tools, tutorials on what to do in what order, all that good stuff. So I am going to just follow along with the kit, do things the way it says in there, and we'll see how easy or not easy this ends up being for me. Thank you for embarking on this PC building journey with us. We're excited to get you started. Contained within these boxes is everything you need to build a PC, components, a checklist, a toolkit, and a guide. We suggest starting with the Adventurer's Map for PC Building book. It will guide you through every step of the building process, including providing QR codes that will lead you to online videos and support. That's handy. It's like a fun little theme thing. I dig the kind of vibe they're putting with this. It's not just this cold, like, here's the instruction manual, and here, like, they're trying to make it a little more fun. I think part of the big push for this, right, is to make it something a little more appealing to people that have never done a build before and turn it into something that's, you know, fun and not just one giant learning experience. Although learning is power. Now I want to focus more on the process of putting this build together as being my first time building a PC, but for those of you that are curious of what the build actually consists of, here are all the specific parts that came with my particular kit. This can vary, and the instruction manual is designed to kind of reflect that fact. All right, I probably shouldn't be doing this in a beanie, but you know, branding, let's go. Level one, sorry, not step one, level one, because this is an adventure. Installing the memory. So this is gonna be putting the RAM on the motherboard, so we can set aside the SSD and the CPU for now. We just need the RAM and the motherboard. They have a little QR code here for me to do a video walkthrough, but I'm gonna go ahead and just try to do this off the written instructions for now, but if I get a little lost or confused, I'll pull that up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and lay on top of this for now. Take out the motherboard, place it gently on the box it came in, which is what I have done. Let's see, locate channels 2 and 4, which are, is there like a little, oh yeah, here we go, yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2, yeah, so. Unhatch the memory slots, which is just, yep, just pulling. And then get the memory sticks out. This is going very step by step. I mean, this is like 6 steps that are basically just, here's how step by step to do each of these things. Open this part, hold this way, look at it again just to make sure you're doing it right. Really thorough and takes the time, which I appreciate. I'm sure someone who's done this a lot would probably just be like, oh, it's just put it in. Why is there any extra instructions needed? But honestly, I kind of dig that they took this much time with it. Yeah, and then just push it in firmly until you hear it click. So that's at least partially in, but then I gotta... I'm trying to think the last time, because even though I've never done a full build from scratch, like I said, I've exchanged some parts before, and it's even then, that's been a while now. I think the last time I did anything was maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Okay, here we go. 1 down, 11, kind of 12 to go. I say kind of 12 because if you look at the levels list, there's 13, which is basically just, here's how things might go wrong. So it's sort of a, once you've done all the other steps, if it's still not working, here's what to maybe double check. So we're down 1 level onto level 2. Installing the processor. Careful on this step. The pins in the CPU or motherboard are easily bent, and if they're damaged, they may not work properly. Great, no stress. Oh yeah, they give you multiple pages of warning on this. Identifying your CPU as AMD or Intel. I know it's AMD. Locate the socket, that boy right there. Inspect the pins. So let's go ahead and open it up and take a look. So yeah, just kind of taking a look at it, make sure nothing looks bent, like it arrived damaged or anything, which it doesn't look like it. That all looks, no, it looks good. Open the socket, which is this little... Hold the CPU by the sides. Do not touch the gold pins. They really don't want you to do that. That's probably for good reason. Do not force remove, place gently, and then close socket. And then close this back down. That's it, that's placed. Okay, that was not, I mean, I understand why they stress on that one a little bit because you really don't want to mess it up, but really isn't that hard. It's just don't touch the pins. Don't cross the streams. Level 3, SSD. Oh, we got to break out some of the tools for this one. Didn't come up on the earlier ones yet, but since this one needs some of the tools, it lets you know which exact ones you need for this step. Locate the SSD slot, which is this guy right here. So a couple different ways this can go based on the motherboard, but for this one, I'm gonna undo these screws to take that out. Oh, a little more. Insert the SSD at an angle, matching the notch to the connector. If done correctly, the gold should not be visible, that's the little connector right there. Redo it this way, just so it's a little easier access for me. There we go. There we go, okay. Got it. I remember that from when I was installing one of my PS5. Push it down, and then we're gonna rescrew it in using the shorter screw. You may need to skip this step if you have an M.2 shield and removed exactly 2 screws on step B, which is what I did. So I'm gonna skip that step, and then just screw it back in, which I believe this thicker screw is on the bottom here. Thank you, dog. That's snug. And that's snug. Okay. That's it, level 4, here we go. Installing the CPU cooler. This level is divided into 2 different versions, 4A and 4B, depending on the type of cooler you're installing, because obviously those work a little differently. Because I'm using an AIO cooler, I'm gonna go with level 4A. Prepare the motherboard. Important, the M22 AI cooler came pre-configured for an Intel CPU, which is not what I have in here, so I do have to take these extra steps. Remove the stock AMD mounting bracket and backplate from the motherboard. Okay, so those are out. Tape, my immortal nemesis. I don't need this instruction manual because I have this instruction manual. So this is the part I need to mess with right now. I need to loosen the Intel retention bracket, which is this part here. Yep, just pops that out, no problem. And just the reverse. Okay, done. Yeah, you know, overall I gotta say, I mean, look, a lot of this is completely new territory for me, but it really hasn't been that bad so far. I'm definitely probably being a little overly cautious, which is probably better than not cautious at all. We're probably gonna leave that in the cut. Plastic must have just been a little bit tighter on that end or something. It did not want to sit. Okay, cool, so there's that installed. Hopefully I put it in the right slots. Install the backplate. Align the holes of the backplate to those on your motherboard and screw the backplate into your motherboard. So we're gonna flip this real quick.
I wouldn't do it for very long, but he has to put the backplate. Is that how you normally do it?
And then the backplate screws are on the other side, so I have to flip it back over. Okay, so I want to put in the spacers, which on this was showing also putting a little washer along with it. Sure, probably these little washers right here. What did you do, Kevin? Oh, here it is. Yep, rolled away. I got it. You will resume installing this cooler at a later stage. Level 5. Moving the build into the PC. Oh, we get to mess with the case now. All right, we're gonna go ahead and readjust angle for a moment here because we're gonna lay this down in a bit to start fitting all our parts in. But first, I have to remove some parts of the case to be able to do that. Identify the I/O shield. That's the thing that goes in the back, right? Okay, so had to go back to where our motherboard was, and here is the I/O shield. If your I/O shield was provided separately, which it was, put the metallic I/O shield into the rectangular openings in the back of the PC, shiny side facing inwards. Both sides are pretty shiny. Insert the I/O shield of... I would assume this side is up based on letter orientation. That seems like it's all in. Place the motherboard. That all looks pretty correct. All right, we got that laid in, and now we just got to screw the motherboard in. My hands are always so shaky. Look, I know it's not like a huge deal, but I'm pretty sure I just saw the smallest cat hair fly in here. I feel better about that one. One down. Yeah, you just sat weird. This is going to be the 45-minute part of this build. We are gonna make it, people. Another one. I will not be defeated by you. That's it for level 5. Level 6, Relocating Fans. Okay, yeah, it's talking about the other side of the case, which is currently facing down. Next step is removing plastic twist ties. Come on. 1, 2, 3. And there should be one along the bottom here somewhere. Oh, the one that's like covering this whole thing. Okay, unscrew the top fan. While holding the top fan, obviously because I don't want it to fall out. And then unscrew the rear fan. Okay. And then we are going to set those two fans aside for now. Lefty loosey, right? That way? Yeah, that way. Sometimes I get... No, that way. Okay, we'll put that where we have the two fans we already removed. Fans have been screwed into their new home. I have the cables going out the way they're supposed to be. I'm like 90% sure. Slide in fan bracket, and then just re-put this in. Power supply. Where's our power supply? Oh yeah, this is where the weight comes from, or at least some of it. Okay, so we need the power supply unit, which I have right here. My screwdriver, which I set down somewhere that has the correct kind of bit on it still. We venture deeper. I really should have been reading more of these like little story bits because it's kind of amusing. A hall full of ancient visages leads us to a room of great power. Power, because it's the power supply. Locate and take the PSU out of its packaging, marked H, and take note of the contents in the box. All right, so since we're doing a modular build, one of the things it points out is that if our graphics card is a 3000 series or above, which would be marked as a J, in which case this is, because I'm using a 3060 Ti, I need to plug in 2 PCIe's. So I've got 2 of them right here. And then, cool, so there's both those plugged in for that. You are blocking my manual. Twist ties are always, I feel like it's one direction, and then it's not, and then it is. Does this side not matter? Which one goes which? Right. And then the CPU, I mean, it doesn't really matter that hard which order I did them in, but I wanted to follow the instructions to the letter. PSU side. Slide in the PSU with fan facing down. Fan, I'm assuming, is down here. Yep, that's the fan. Okay. So we're just sliding that in there. Okay, next part. My favorite, but actually least favorite part of anything ever, cable management. I need wire cutters and twist ties. Oh man, we are getting into charts and diagrams here. These are recommendations on how to manage your cables more easily. They don't need to be strictly followed. Don't be afraid to experiment with different configurations. I think I'm gonna hate this part. Yeah, so it's kind of sitting like that. Kind of. It'll look better later, maybe. Oh, right there, directly top, okay. Okay, now I think we're all the way. Yes, cool. 24 pin is going to run through here, which has its own little dedicated tie. That's handy. It kind of has a little cable management loop to sit in. The important part is I'm pretty sure that's plugged in nice and securely. HD audio. Front channel, which is you. I lost it, didn't I? I pushed it through and it popped back out. Next up, USB-C. I know that one. This, which is plugged in already. This, which is plugged in already. And this, and we are going to run it through here. There we go. Cool, so there's that in. And then USB 3.0, which is this one right here. Feels like it's in. Guys, I hate cables. Fan cables. All right, it's these two buddies, right? That I already undid earlier. To any 4-pin slot on the board. PCIe/VGA. Oh, I see now. There's a hole right here, which I hope is big enough. Okay, there's one. Can I fit the other? Okay, it didn't actually have a strict rule for this, but I think I should probably cable tie, like it said to cable tie, I just haven't cable tied anything yet, so I should probably do that for what sections make sense. What thick cable was supposed to be running through there? Okay, probably not as clean as it can be, but that's better than it was. Level 9, installing the CPU cooler part 2. Okay, so we're taking out those spacers that we had in there earlier. Or not the spacers, but the screws here. Whatever they're called, the caps. Taking the caps back out.
No cap.
No cap. Place the pump with the retention bracket onto the CPU. Make sure the USB port is facing the top. And then I'm going to put these same secure bits back on. Okay, that's 2 in. You know what? These have screw heads, so let's just go ahead and install the fan onto the radiator first using the long screws that came with the AIO packaging, which I got right here. Okay, here we go. So, slide fan into place on the rear case exhaust with pump tubes oriented at the top, so like this. This is gonna be a little more work than we thought. That was the perfect timing for me to say that.
Yeah, level 10, installing the Wi-Fi card.
Locate the bottom PCI lane. So I need to look on this side, and that is... Slide out the metal plate. Which metal plate am I sliding out? On the rear of the PC, loosen the thumb screws on the panel that is blocking the expansion slot covers. Oh, okay, this stuff here. And then remove the expansion slot cover. Remove the expansion slot cover that corresponds to the bottom PCI lane. So this one right here then, right? I mean, there's kind of enough space that it could be this one. I'm gonna do the very bottom one. It said bottom, we're gonna go with bottom. And we'll find out if that is incorrect after. That is actually, okay, so real quick, just because I haven't been spending a lot of time talking about how the instructions are, one thing I do really appreciate about this is how thorough it is with like, if this, then this kind of situations. There are a lot of, hey, look, not all these builds are gonna be exactly the same. Here's where things can be different. You might end up having to skip this step. This step might look different for you. Here's where to go to reference that. It's just, they clearly wrote these instructions to be as comprehensive as possible for a variety of different build types, which is really nice. Okay. There we go. And then that just pops in there. And it doesn't feel secure yet, but it will in a moment. Okay, so then I just have to plug this into one of the little USB ports, which looks like we have one right there. Okay, and that's pretty snug. And we're gonna need to cable manage that somehow because that's just a whole bunch of cables sitting out right here. Or I just don't do any cable management and you all get mad at me when you see the final build. GPU time, the exciting part. You found a new artifact. The GPU appears to be a very rare and valuable treasure. Yeah, that's true. Locate the top PCIe lane. That's him right there. Slide out the metal panel for there. So this top one. So we'll get rid of this top one here. Oops. Oh man, this thing is thoroughly packaged. I mean, it makes sense. Like we said, sacred treasure, right? I should probably peel all the plastic off of this. There's something very satisfying about removing plastic. For everyone's listening pleasure. This is how we get into ASMR videos. All right. I think that feels pretty secure there. Why aren't you laying it? Oh no, it is, okay, so I was wrong. It is in fact slot 2 and 3, not slot 1 and 2. That's what I get for ignoring the directions. So there I was thinking I knew better than the people who made this product. All right, there's there's that. I'm learning that screw holes are the most annoying part about building a PC, because they don't always perfectly line up the way you want them to. Like right now. Yeah, the problem is I'm also using my right hand to brace, and despite the fact that I'm actually innately left-handed, years of school forcing me to be right-handed has made that my dominant hand. Okay, you know what, screw this. I'm doing the top one first. Nope, that was an accidental pun. Don't acknowledge that. I can't wait to turn this on and have it not turn on. So it says that if it's a 3000 series, we need to plug 2 of them in, but I only see a single 8 slot. So unless that other 8 slot is somewhere else, which I don't think that's how this works. So I guess I have an extra unnecessary power cable that I'm going to need to unplug. No, it's stuck. Okay, we have power. We're gonna just kind of stuff some of that back down in there, just to tone down our cables a little bit. We have a PC, I think. Yeah, I mean, we're literally at the stage where it's just close it all up. I feel like I just saw a little something fly and I don't know what that was. Oh, that's why the screws were still poking through a little, so it was having trouble closing. Guys, I think we have a PC. Okay, so we have done just a very basic setup, keyboard, mouse, monitor. We're plugged into power, so we're gonna turn it on and see if it works. It is noted that these SSDs that was sent to me, it comes pre-installed with Windows, so you don't have to worry about, how you're going to get that loaded up onto it. So the next step should just be it turns on, and congratulations, I have a working PC. Oh wait, turn the power supply on first. Scare me like that. We got lights. Nope. Default. Oh! I think we have a working PC, people. Awesome. Yeah, wow, it's already set. I mean, Windows is just already installed and good to go. I mean, I'm gonna need to run a lot of updates probably. Just, for the parts and for the OS, but I built a PC. So we are 1 week later. I wanted to have some time with the PC and just honestly have some fun with it and mess around with it, make sure that everything is running fine, and it's been a really good experience. As I mentioned before, I've messed with PC builds a little bit before. I've taken some things in and out, but this is the first time that start to finish the entire build I did myself, and the instructions really did make it a very simple to understand process. I absolutely had some of my frustrating moments, especially when it came to screwing some components into place and every now and then realizing maybe I didn't really cable manage the best that I could have, but once I spent enough time with it and just took my time with each step, it really did do a great job of guiding me through it. I will say one thing that I probably made a little more difficult for myself than I needed to is that I didn't really make use of the video tutorials. I relied entirely on the written directions themselves, but with all these instructions, there are QR codes you can scan to bring up actual video tutorials, which had I used on a few of the steps that I maybe got a little stuck on, would have made the process a bit smoother. But overall though, this was a really pleasant experience. I think some of the really big selling points of this process is that, if you're interested in doing your first build ever, but you don't want to necessarily go through the hassle of trying to hunt down each and every single individual part. This is something that came all together as one kit. I was able to just kind of focus more on the work itself and have just one single purchase. And something really cool about it too is that even though you're doing the build yourself, the whole kit, all the parts together, come with a warranty under NZXT. So instead of having to deal with every single individual part and any kind of manufacturing warranty you'd have, you just have one nice protection plan under one umbrella. If you're interested in grabbing one of these kits for yourself or just learn a little more about it, I do have a link down below in the description. Again, if you've never built before and you're curious about it, I think this is an excellent sort of first introduction.